Hello and welcome, everyone. Oh my goodness, I'm here with my dear Jane Lyon coming through from Tulum. Hello, Jane.
Hola, how's it going, my love?
Hola. Oh, I'm so grateful to be with you, and it's been a little bit since we connected, and I'm really honored to have the space today to share about a lot of things, but about how we met, your journey. Jane is a profound, prolific healer, guide, yogi, meditator, energy healer. I would say just really an advisor for people looking to come into their soul, come into their gifts, come into their essence, and that you lead and share with such integrity and authenticity. And you touch so many people's hearts and lives, and you're such an example of, like, I think of you as this bright, shiny kind of like rainbow presence that's just like really emanating so much joy and love. I really feel that. And also with the depth, such depth, because you're really you're a devotee, in so many ways. You're a disciple, very disciplined practice.
Mhm.
And I've always really appreciated that about you, that you can make this disciplined, devoted approach to spirituality, to healing, also very fun and accessible.
I'm cool too.
Yeah, you're cool. And you're living in Tulum. You've been there for a while. You were called there. You've had quite a journey, right? You like share a little bit about, let's reflect a little bit on the beginning. Let's like go back because we met years ago, which is hard to recall, actually. It was like years ago. And yeah, can you share a little bit about what you remember from that time where we first met and kind of how we first started collaborating?
Well, I learned about you long before you learned about me, thanks to your amazing book that you wrote, which feels like a lifetime ago. Actually, the I was thinking about this morning when I started reading that book. I was on my first solo retreat by myself,
Mm.
and I was so scared to be by myself. And reading that book within like 10 pages, I was just crying like this book was meant for me. And it's wild how long ago that was and how everything started. And so then I, started following you and kind of tapping into this world. I'm just a little gay girl from Utah. And so I didn't really have, I was in a bubble, and so finding your work and following you and listening to your podcast and that kind of reaching into that network of all of these people who are living such unique, healing driven lives was so inspiring to me. And in 2020, I had reached out to you just about like some mentoring and some coaching because I eventually, my early 20s story is I converted to Buddhism. I came out of the closet. I became a Reiki master. I started teaching meditation and yoga and really getting into that zone. And then when the pandemic started and everything stopped, I was like, okay, I need to pivot how I'm serving people because I have to keep serving, but I just didn't know what to do. And so I was like, I think I'm gonna message Sydney. And I remember it was like one of the bravest things I've done was reach out to Sid, see if I could get a package with her. And our first session together was an Akashic Records reading. And the wild thing was that I had never heard of the Akashic Records before that. And then I start hearing it everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. My Buddhist teacher is suddenly talking about it. Everybody is talking about the records. And then you announced your training. And I was like, this is my next step. This is it. And spending that whole summer in the records with you and with these incredible women was truly so profound. I don't even know if at the moment I have the words to get into it. We could go really deep starting there, but that's when for me, my whole business shifted, my whole energy shifted. I got super clear in what I was doing. And ever since then, I've had this kind of sovereignty within myself that I really, really blame on the Akashic Records and doing, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah, what does that mean to you? What does sovereignty in yourself mean? How does that actually translate?
Being in a body is so wild. It's such a bizarre experience.
Mm.
There's so many thoughts and feelings and dimensions and intuitive hits and fears and worries. And
Mm,
When I started the training with you, I had so much unworthiness and so much fear and so much doubt, and I felt so small. And even though I am this devotee and this disciple, I still didn't feel like, I don't know, like that connection to something so true that I felt like I could bring it through me, right? I can go sit
mm,
in a Buddhist temple and be in refuge and feel safe and have that comfort, that spiritual security. But it wasn't until I started working in the records that I realized, oh, I am a direct line to source, and everything that I need is in me. And I actually just need my presence to bring that
mm,
through.
mm,
And I mean, if there's anything that Sydney Campos has taught me, it is how to embody presence. And
mm,
now that I feel like I have that, I was actually just saying to one of my students the other day, they were like, I realized that I can heal people by bringing them my whole presence. And I was like, that is what Sydney always would say. And I would hear you say that and I would be like, what does she mean? And
mm.
now I get it because
Mm.
it is all in this moment. It is all in this
Mm.
moment of deep presence and allowing. And I really felt my whole energy change that summer of that training. All the anxiety, the fears, the unworthiness, the doubts, all of that. It was like my energetic body got strong. And I was like, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I'm about. And also, I'm allowed to evolve and change as much as I want to. And life
Mm.
just got easier.
And more fun.
And it got way more fun. And I stopped. I think one of my like heaviest qualities, one of my biggest growing edges is that I just was taking life way too seriously,
Mm,
like so seriously, so heavily. And
mm.
getting to commune in the records and kind of have this relationship with my guides, we kind of learned to laugh about a lot of the things that we suffer about and the way we grasp and grip and just get so, it's like, yo, we're just living this life and it's going to be short, and like let's play and let's lighten up. And yeah, all of that really kind of started spiraling upward until now I'm here in Tulum living full time. I'm single, I'm by myself, and I am teaching other people to read the Akashic records now, and
Mm.
it is the coolest thing. It's so cool.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing everything, and I celebrate you and just honor the path and the walk, and you make it sound so simple in your articulation, and there's also a lot of depth and commitment that has been required along the way to do the different energetic protocols, to embody presence, to really develop a more healed, regulated nervous system that can, really sustain presence consistently, and everything that we've shared, that's actually a very core part of our training. Is around embodiment, which a lot of people actually they think they're just I want to learn the Akashic records, but really I sneak in that it's an embodiment process to become, to have the capacity to attune to the capacity to presence, to higher frequency energy, to allow multidimensional sight, to be able to discern intuitive information from the mind or from past imprints or trauma. And so tell me about what it's like teaching. What are you finding? What's that like?
Well, I mean, Sydney, you taught me how to be an incredible instructor because what you
Oh.
said about, I did not think that your training would, I mean, now looking back, it's like obvious, but getting into it, not knowing what I was getting into, that's exactly why it was such an amazing training, and kind of what obviously inspired me is this daily deep devotion to managing your own energy, working with your own energy, because you cannot hold the amount of space for others that the work is calling us to until you have really taken yourself through that process. And
Mhm.
so for me, in the way that I am running this program now, my first thing is all about the art of holding space and meditation. Obviously, as a Buddhist, like meditation is my game. And my Reiki practice really helped me tap in. And that's kind of what led me to you, is I was like, I'm have my hands on people and I'm seeing so much and I don't know what to do about it. And it's like the Akashic Records is the obvious next step there. So then we learn about taking care of ourselves using Reiki energy. And then in the last phase, that's when it's like their energy is finally ready
Mm.
to drop in. And it's so funny because during the program, everyone's all nervous about that day when we open the records and what if we can't tap in and what if there's nothing there, and I'm like, trust in the process, my love. Like there's a reason why there's a protocol and a process and why I've been making you do so much every single day to manage your energy. And in this last round I did, we got on our first group reading call and all I did was open, and these girls were just boom boom boom
Mm.
channeling so much. They were all seeing the same things. We were all exploring. Like, I get chills just thinking about it because,
Mm.
Sid, like, I love this work because there's no ego in it. I didn't do that. That
Mhm.
had nothing to do with me.
Mhm.
That was the records. All I do
Mm.
is kind of, here's what I know. I set this really gentle structure, and then we just sit back and receive and let the masters,
Mm.
teachers, and loved ones be our teachers and guides and tell us what to do. And,
Mm.
watching my students just become so grounded and so clear is really, really, really exciting. And again, I'm like, this is
Mm.
so cool because it's not me. I'm just setting the space and allowing that magic to happen. And
Mm.
I feel so lucky because I love
Aw.
what I do. And the records, I was
Mm.
telling a student of mine, she was like, how do I sell my Akashic Records readings? I was like, you don't. The records do that for you. You don't need to sell them.
Are you finding a lot of soul reunions happening in your field? Like the people that are attracted to this offering, that they're like, oh yeah, hi, I remember you from other lifetimes again. Here we
Oh,
go again.
yeah, exactly. I think that's where the records actually brought me so much comfort, is that like I have lived all these lives. I think I have lived. I have known all of these people before. We are all meeting again for a reason. Like this all, like, time is a big circle that we are just like somersaulting through. So yeah, the way that the records, I mean, when I first announced, one day I finally got the courage in me after I got my certification from you to announce on my Instagram, hi, these are the Akashic Records. I'm giving readings for $33. Here's the link. And it was like boom, 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 boom. By the end of that week, I had 20 sessions booked for $30. And I was like, oh my God, I need to take that link down. Like I just dove in way over my head. But I was ready, I was really ready to do that. And it was so cool to see, oh my gosh, people have been wanting this. People are looking for this.
Mm.
And as soon as they hear Akash, they're like, oh, I heard you're the one. Can I get a
Mm.
session? And it
Mm.
is just, it has changed the entire nature of my work, having this part
Mm.
of it
Aw. You're a natural.
in it. It is natural, yes.
So what's the evolution been like? Because I'm curious to know. It's been
Mhm.
a few years in practice, especially through teaching. You have such an accelerated understanding and like just a depth of awareness of this work and what it entails, and you see everyone's different style, and so what have you been noticing, and or have you been noticing, like I've been noticing an evolution of access within the energetic field of the Akash, or different directives as to how this information that comes through is best articulated, or different guides or different dimensions? And what's it been like for you?
Interesting. Yeah, I think at first I sometimes I'll go back and watch the first reading that I gave you because I can see how much I doubt in myself, and it's good for me to like watch that
Mm.
and see, like, again, it's not me. I'm not doing any of it. It's really the direct source, the direct channel that I am bringing through. And as I've gotten more, mature and evolved with this practice more, it's almost like it's gotten simpler, and like the
Mm.
answers are just in the field and we just need to open them. And
Mhm.
something that's interesting, and I don't know if you come across this a lot in your work, but this attachment to what are the records? Like,
Mhm.
and I'm like, it's just a thing that we call it. It's just what we're calling it. It's just
Mm.
the ether that's around us. It's right here. It's always here.
Mm,
And anybody can tap into this, anyone can pull information from this, but it's a skill that needs to be practiced and cultivated with so much discipline
mm,
in order to be a very, very clear and direct channel.
mm,
And
mm,
I think we get a little bit attached to the word Akashic records and let me see my past lives. And I've stopped giving one-off readings, and I only will work with people in packages because I don't want to dabble in your past lives. I don't want to dabble in, like, I want to do serious deep work in this field.
mm,
And so yeah, the evolution has really become it's like almost it's just getting simpler and simpler day
mm,
by day. And it's me wanting to work with people who have kind of that same devotion to this work, to going deeper.
mhm,
Um,
mm,
and yeah, at this point, it's kind of the root of my work in that almost at the end of almost every call with my clients, 30 minutes in, they'll be like, can we just open the records to finish?
mhm,
And I'm like, sure. And sometimes we'll just sit there,
mhm, mhm,
and just receive.
mm,
And I love that it's evolved my work into a place of not me doing or being or proving or providing or let me get results. Or it's just,
mm,
I'm just going to open the records, and then it's up to them from there. And it's that
mm,
simple. And I think that can be hard for me to grasp and even hard for others to grasp.
mm. Yeah, it's just being
Mhm.
you is enough.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
a shock. It's a shock to many people's systems. At the beginning of the training, there will be an instruction to just practice sitting in the field for 20 minutes and not even trying to get any information or, translate anything. Just sit, just open the record, sit in the field
Mhm.
and just bask in the unconditional love and healing that immediately emerges. And then many will report just tearing, crying, letting go,
Yeah.
releasing, purging, because we attune to this higher dimensional field of just love that then illuminates all density, distortion, resistance to presence, and usually entails some feeling and
Mhm.
healing. And yeah, I love that. I love that invitation that you offer now to just be, just and so much I resonate. Like, I've been in this practice for it'll almost be 10 years, and then teaching since 2016. And it's evolved so beyond anything I could have imagined. And I've actually been I've been slow to really listen, because this word, the Akashic Records, is it's like trendy. People understand, they're magnetized to it. I was when I first started, like, oh, I remember that. What is that? So it brought me
Mhm.
in. But then for probably, I started calling my one-on-one sessions soul sourcing sessions in 2017 or 2018. Because I
Mhm.
even then was told this is not just Akashic Records that you're doing. This is a part. This is how I learned. This is the foundation upon which other intuitive modalities are sourced, and that we
Mhm.
each actually have our unique intuitive modalities in the way that we read energy. It's not boxed in by any one name or label. And yet the
Mhm.
system that has been pioneered and templated before, known as the Akashic Records, is very useful for helping to attune that basic understanding, of the vehicle for, like, oh, how do I use my intuitive gifts and ability to translate source energy? But then the last year I've been being told, and it feels a little bit edgy. It's like, this isn't Akashic Records anymore. And it's not the Akashic Facilitator training. I
Mhm.
didn't actually ever call it the Akashic Records Facilitator training. It was Akashic Facilitator. So now
Mhm.
I'm told to call it soul sourcing is the modality. And it's that we are helping people to become a clear, direct channel to their own source, through which
Mhm.
all is possible, all is revealed, and that we're tapping in not only with the Akashic records of this planet, but the Akashic fields of all different planets, all different dimensions, all different universes, much, much more expansive, beyond what we were doing before, which was more limited to the Akashic plane of Earth or
Yeah.
even this galaxy. And with that entails different rules or understandings about will, about karma, about, kind of the more spiritual entertainment of who was I in this personality as a different life, and these things that are not so useful with where we are actually meant to, evolve towards, which is more into presence, embodiment, acceptance. Like there's less story. It's out of the personality. It's out of identity. It's into essence. And in that, there's less words. There's more energy. So a lot of my experience lately, probably last year or two, and we always have shared direct energy transmissions in the training, but it's like more of that. I've been receiving more just very palpable, full downloads, just energy healing whenever I'm with someone else or in groups. It's just these huge fields of different types of energy available to come and help heal us and the DNA and the cells. And I mean, miracle healings of the physical body, of consciousness, unwinding like these icicle, circuit thought forms stuck in the brain and old habits and things like that. And yeah, I'm curious if you're seeing that in your work at all, like in terms of like the energetic healing piece. I know you also have your, Reiki master context that you bring, and I'm curious how those worlds have merged, or how they integrate in your work.
Oh, I resonate so much with what you're saying, and I love how you're calling it soul sourcing because it really is like, I'll have people say to me like, "Oh, well, I don't want to like become a Reiki master. I don't really want to become an Akashic Records reader." And I'm like, "That's not what my training is for."
Mm,
These modalities are foundations that have been passed to us that can really set a foundation for any intuitive, anyone who is wanting to really work on these modalities. They're just foundations that have been passed to us.
mm,
And then, and this is really what I'm, witnessing with my students and with myself is that we kind of transcend this idea of giving a Reiki session or giving an Akashic Records reading. And actually, you're able to kind of uncover what is your authentic service.
mm,
How do you show up for your clients? And it's not like, okay, Sid, we're going to get on this call and I'm going to like do all this remote Reiki. Like, you don't need to do that. You get on the
mm,
call and you share energy and you feel into what's happening.
mm,
And then if we need to, open the records or open the field or do some energy healing, it's just there and it's available to us. But when you've
mm,
done this deep level of training, the kind of training that Sydney offers, you become the modality essentially. And
mm.
my hope for my students is that they can be creative. I
Mm,
met someone in her Instagram bio said intuitive artist. And I was like, oh, I love that. Like, that's how I feel. I don't want to be known as the Reiki Master Akashic Records reader, but like, sure, those are the words you can put with me. But I'm an energy master. I'm a healer. That's just what I do. But I love this
mm,
invitation of that creativity. And a
mm.
joke I make in a lot of my training is like, I respect Reiki and I respect my Akashic Records lineage. And also here's how I like to break the rules. And here's how
Yeah.
I feel my way. And here's how it's fun to me and what's fun to you and what feels good to you. Because
Mm,
there is actually, when I first started meditating, I genuinely thought that if I didn't do the proper breath work before we started, then I wasn't meditating. And like the energy doesn't work that way.
mhm,
It really is an ability to drop in. It's you don't need to do the pathway prayer the exact way that I do. You don't need to drop in the exact way that I'm teaching you to. You are the guide. You are the source. You get to become the modality and figure out how that flows for you. And seeing my students step into that, kind of like owning their creative energy that way and how they want to serve and be healers has been really gratifying.
Oh, I love hearing this. Yeah, because it's a new era, right? It's like you're speaking so beautifully to the new era of leadership that we require. That
Mhm.
has to, it entails presence and listening and empowerment. And, the gone is the day. I mean, I'm sure many people are still orienting this way, but it's like I can't actually communicate in these frameworks where some people will have these really strong attachments to like coaching or even healing or psychic
Mhm.
reading in a certain way. And it's very structured and rigid and has rules and limitations and a lot of control and actually fear
Mhm.
implicit, and that's what a lot of the languaging around even Akashic Records has had on the planet since its early inception, into like accessible consciousness. It's like lots of rules, like you have to do it this way. This isn't allowed. You can only do this, and
Mhm.
like some fear and control, which never resonated with me, and yet, as you said, like I honor the lineage and the path and the foundation and how I learned, just teaching from my experience. Like this is how I learned. And then
Mhm.
once you have the foundation, take the wheel. Like it's up to you. Make up your own style. And it's all about like finding that authentic expression. And the more that we have people empowered to live into their authentic expression and lead in that way and it be an example, I just get so excited about what's possible, right? Because it's just nonstop empowerment and less
Yeah.
fear, more love, more creativity, more art, more fun, way more innovation too. Like there's just so
Yeah.
many new ways that we can do all of this stuff, right?
Yeah, it's so much giving permission is what I've noticed is like, and I actually think that being in this very strict Buddhist background where
Mm.
they're gonna hammer this into you, but then but they want me to doubt everything they're saying. They want me to question. They want me to say, this is how it makes sense to me, actually. Actually, this is how I think it should be. And now I'm in this leadership role at the Buddhist temple because I'm like, I'm the future of this place staying alive. And we have to innovate, we have to evolve, we have to
Mm.
grow. And feel it really is, it's nice to feel like, okay, I put in all these hours into all
Mm.
of these trainings and all these modalities, and I have given myself to this work. And now I'm going to make it mine because
Mm.
if there's anything that I could share with anybody who's listening to this, if you have a pure heart that is in devotion to serving this planet, every decision that you make is going to impact the planet in a positive way. And
Mm.
I think back to this permission piece. I see my students, they're so afraid. They're, what if this, what if this? And I'm like, come back to presence, come back to your intention, come back to your pure heart. If that is what is leading you through this world as a healer, you can never do any wrong. You are only
Mm.
helping this world be better. So if you want to open the Akashic records in your own unique way, or you don't want to call them that, or you don't want to use these words, or what, you don't want to use the symbols, don't,
Mhm.
because you're perfect the way that you
Mm.
are. And you have such a unique way of serving that only a certain abundance of people are going to be able to resonate with. So you have
Mm.
to do it your way.
Mhm.
So it's nice to hear like my
Aw.
own mentor kind of being like, yes, run with it, you know?
Oh, you get it.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I'm just feeling all of the like just that I'm remembering a really specific moment speaking to you for one of the first times on Zoom, and I was in Maui and you were in Salt Lake City, and we were just deciding to collaborate, and it was such a different world, and we were both completely different beings.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling how you are now. I got to see you in Tulum when we were both there last year, and I'm just feeling this like, yeah, just this gift of how we find each other no matter what. Like we find each other, and that you're now also like this lighthouse for others, remembering, coming in to reunite, receive, and then they will probably also go on like pass. There's this feeling of the passing the torch, right? Where it's like to teacher to teacher to teacher, and we're all students and we're all teachers, and just sharing and empowering and remembering together. And wow, yeah, so grateful. It's like never would have thought. Never would have thought I'd be here speaking with you now, and I wonder where we'll be in a couple of years from now. It's exciting to imagine. I have no idea.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
Yeah, and Sydney, just I know I said this before we started recording, but really there's not a day or a week that goes by where I don't reference, my mentor Sydney, and like the impact that you alone have had on my life. I don't know how to use words to describe that to you. Like I hope you feel it and I hope you know it. And you know, really, when I think about what energy master do I know that I don't want to say you can solve anything. I don't want to put all this on you, But when I think about just the greatest mentors that I have ever had that didn't turn out to be super disappointing in the end, that actually turned out to be like really deeply who they say they are and so authentic and so incredible and has impacted my life in so many ways. And just the energetic sovereignty and authority that I have, it is due to your facilitation and the way that you share your gifts. And
No.
I hope you know how grateful I am for your presence and to just like be able to maintain this connection.
I love you, sister. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I really feel the same and honor you and have such deep respect and reverence for you and the way that you are and how you exemplify authenticity and integrity with your work and that we need it. We need it so much. This world is there's so much noise out there, and it doesn't even matter to say, but these authentic, real examples, real present embodied guides. This is what we need right now more than anything. This is it. This is the way, right? We need it. We need each other. We need community in this way. And I'm so grateful we're both on mission,
Mm.
empowering this new wave of leaders. And yeah, yeah, so much gratitude. And yeah, you shared a little bit about your work and the way you support people. And I'd love to hear just from you, what are any fun offerings or ways that you are currently supporting, for anyone listening and they're like, tell me more. What do you do? How can I work with you? What does that look like?
Yes, of course. Well, I enrollment for my next round of my training. It finishes this week, so in a couple weeks I'll
Cool.
get to my next round. I call it Healer School, and it's meditation,
Aw.
Reiki, and the Akashic Records, but it's really about going on a 6 month journey of really embodying your inner healer and guiding
Mm,
yourself through that.
mm,
So yeah, that's one main thing. But what's coming up next is my signature meditation mastery course is coming up. I usually try to plan it during the holidays, so it'll start in October and end right before Christmas. And
cool.
that's when I get really, really Buddhist and we get really serious about our meditation. And that's a really fun, it's a 6 week course and it ends with a day-long virtual retreat, which is really
Wow.
so that will be coming up next. And then every spring around my birthday, I run a program that Sydney helped me design like 4 years ago that is kind of my bread and butter. It's called Sanctuary. And it's kind of
Mm,
I call it your introduction to spiritual development. We really
mm,
get into actually the wisdom of the chakras and healing ourselves kind of through that path.
mm,
And it's a beautiful community to kind of everyone says it's kind of everyone that's in it is like it's kind of your beginner basic level introduction to like healing and spirituality, and it's a really really good starting point
aw.
for people who want to go a little deeper than just meditation. So
Mm,
and I run a podcast called Spiritually Queer that's all about queer folks on their healing journey, because
mm,
there's not a lot of representation for queer people in the wellness world, and
mm,
people in my community, we're not super devoted to our healing in the way that I think that we need to be. So I really
mm,
try to be a platform for, asking yourself, what are why did I need to stay closeted? What damage did that do to me? And how can I continue to really
mm,
be my most authentic self? So that's also
mm.
there.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love how all of those interweave and it's like different levels for where people are at, but then there's like kind of this ascending, initiatory path I could see through all of
Of
those
course.
offerings. And thank
Mm.
you. Thank you so much. And thank you for that, the podcast you're creating and the conversations you're having to really support. It's like creating, I always say, create the world you wish existed. And if you don't see the thing you want, you're here to
Yeah.
make it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sydney Campos told me that I can create heaven on earth. And so I've been doing that and I'm in it now.
You're so sweet. I love when you said, and then I get really Buddhist. I love that.
Yeah, I do have a very strict, mean Buddhist side of me that only some people get to see. But I mean, my dream is to actually start a Buddhist center here in Tulum. So sometimes I think I might become her. I might
Wow.
become Tenzin full time. We'll see.
I could see that. That'd be beautiful. And do some silent retreats or just host some like more gatherings, more sangha.
Yeah.
I love this vision. Wow. Bless
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
Beautiful.
thank you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Jane. Tenzin, so grateful. So, so grateful for you. And mark my words, I really look forward to seeing where we are even like a year from now. Like, this is just such an exciting moment to be alive. I'm so grateful that we found each other in this lifetime and we get to create and tap in together. And I just wish you so much grace and abundance and expansion and all of your beautiful work and all the beings that you touch and all the lives they touch. And for me as well, just imagining all these lights were like igniting all over the planet, people remembering and awakening and connecting like with real depth. And
Mhm.
uh and lots more fun for all of us.
Yes. Sydney, I love you so much. You are just
Aw.
the brightest light on this planet. I adore you. I have nothing but amazing things to say about you. So I'm always happy to hear from you. I'm always honored and grateful to get to connect with your energy and be in your field. So thank you for existing. Thank you
Aw.
for being alive while I'm alive. And I just love you so much. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
let's see where we are next August. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's a date.
Great deal.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.